Hey everybody, Donkey Storm here, and today I want to give you guys a way to easily beat the Disc Priest Mage Tower challenge. Priest is one of the harder classes to get a Mage Tower done on, but using this honestly gimmicky strat, the Disc challenge has been by far the easiest Mage Tower I've completed to date. So if you enjoy the guide, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube or head over to my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/DonkeyStorm, and follow me for lots of WoW fun. We're going to go over some of the setup stuff as well as the mechanics of the fight and then get into the strategy itself, but check the video timeline to jump to whatever is most relevant to you. Alright, first of all, talents. I use the setup shown here. These talents are all pretty mandatory, particularly Mindbender and Psychic Voice for the strategy we're going to be using to beat the challenge. As far as gear goes, I just used my regular Shadowlands gear with one exception. You must get the Ravaged Seed Pod trinket from Nathendra and Emerald Nightmare if you're looking to trivialize the encounter. It's very beatable without it, but with this trinket, it's just going to be easy mode, and if you're not in a big hurry to beat the challenge, I'd just farm it before you even start. And in addition to that, you can bring a flask, haste food, drums, potions, etc. The fight is definitely not a DPS check, and honestly, on my successful run, I didn't even use potions, and I didn't use my drums very effectively either, but they will obviously help. So this is a two-boss, two-phase fight. You've got Tugar, who's always targetable and attacking you throughout the encounter, and Jormog, a big worm who's targetable at times and burrows underground at other times. Your goal is to kill them both at the same time so you don't have to deal with any enrage mechanics. In Phase 1, both Tugar and Jormog are targetable. The most important ability to watch out for in both phases, particularly with the strategy we're going to be highlighting today, is Tugar's Fellburst. This does a massive amount of damage, but is interruptible. In addition to that, you're going to want to watch out for Jormog's Sonic Scream, which will lock you out of your spell school if you're caught mid-cast. You'll also want to dodge the green swirlies on the ground, as they'll erupt into jagged rocks after a couple seconds. In Phase 2, Jormog will burrow underground and move around the room and charge towards you. Tugar will cast Earthquake, causing 3 rocks to fall from the ceiling, which will embed themselves into the ground. Your goal is to position yourself so that Jormog's charge hits as many of those 3 rocks as possible without hitting you. You'll get a couple of chances to do this, and every time he bonks a rock, he'll lose 10% of his damage reduction stacks. You'll need to get all these stacks off ASAP to be successful here. On top of that, eggs will spawn in the middle of the room that will eventually hatch into smaller worms that will do damage to you, and you'll want to get those dead as soon as possible. More on how to do that later. The number of eggs begins at 2 and will eventually increase to 5, which sort of puts a timer on the whole thing. The encounter will repeatedly rotate between Phase 1 and 2. After the first time seeing each phase, another mechanic gets thrown into the mix. A totem will spawn in a random location around the room that begins a fairly long cast. If the cast gets off before the totem is killed, you'll be stunned, which is very dangerous. Totem gets one shot by any ability, and it's a good idea to create a target macro that will just take it out as soon as it spawns. I'll link mine in the description below. I also have a nice Weakauras pack that plays sounds for all the important mechanics. Really help me stay on top of everything that I'll also link. So here's the strategy in a nutshell. We're going to use Ravaged Seed Pod on every Phase 2 to easily clean up all the eggs. We're going to use Psychic Scream and a combination of Shadow Fiend and Fade to mitigate all the Fellburst casts. So we're going to take a look at my kill to see exactly how this works in real time. Okay, so here's my kill. We're going to start off pulling Tugar. He's going to be our DPS priority. Now, something that we're going to look out for immediately here is this Fellburst cast. We want to interrupt this with Psychic Scream as quickly as possible. It's important to interrupt it as quickly as possible, as that's going to kind of help you keep in rhythm with your rotating back and forth between Psychic Scream and our Fade and Mindbender combo. So we'll see how that unfolds as we go. So I'm going to Psychic Scream him, then we're just DPSing him. I've got a debuff on myself. I'm going to immediately dispel that. And then we're just going to kind of casually DPS Tugar. We're not in a huge hurry to kill him. In fact, you'll see we're going to get to a point where we have to sort of try not to kill him. Now, this is the beginning of Phase 2. As these eggs come down, I'm going to position myself in the middle of the room. I'm going to drop my Ravaged Seed Pod. And then also at this time, I'm going to cast Mindbender and Fade on Tugar. What that's going to do is turn his aggro away from me into the Mindbender, and his next Fellburst will go on that. So as you can see, Fellburst went off, didn't hit me. I'm mainly focusing now on making sure that Jormog hits the rock to get those DPS or damage reduction stacks off. I again don't really care that much about DPSing Tugar. It's whatever. He's gonna die, just sort of gradually. So there's another Psychic Scream. We're going back and forth. Psychic Scream, Mindbender, Fade. And we're still DPSing him until we get Jormog down to about 3 stacks. Dispel the debuff. There's the Totem. I have a macro that as soon as it pops up, I just press the macro, casts Shadow Word Pain on it, and it just disappears. Don't even have to worry about it. Back to DPSing Tugar. So you get into kind of a rhythm of how these abilities line up. You don't want to get Psychic Screamed like I did there. Thankfully, that was not a make or break situation. You want to make sure you always have your Psychic Scream up. So phase 2 starts, we run to the middle of the room, we drop our Seed Pod, Mindbender, Fade. Fellburst goes onto the Mindbender, we're doing great. Dispel the debuff, get Jormog to hit the rocks. We're continuing to hit Tugar at this point. As you can see, he's down to like 72%, and again, it's not a huge deal to get him down super fast. The Seed Pod's going to do a lot of damage to him too, and Jormog's a lot harder to DPS down. So here Jormog's at 3 stacks, and to me that means it's time to start switching my damage over to him. He takes a lot longer to kill because he's always up and down, and you've always got to like stop your casts because of Sonic Scream. So I'm starting to DPS him here. Always stopping casting during Sonic Scream, keeping an eye out for that Totem. And Tugar here, just whatever. I'm going to fear him. So actually, really good thing that happened there. I was back up a little bit. Sometimes you might mess up or not have something up at the correct time. He can get desynced on his Fellburst. If that's the case, you need to have a backup plan. Thankfully, as Disc, you have a bunch of backup plans. I use Rapture here to mitigate that Fellburst. You can use Pain Suppression, you could use your Barrier, but you want to have that backup ready in case Fellburst goes off when you're not really expecting it. As you can see here, he starts Fellburst, Psychic Scream's not up yet. I need to adjust my plan just for a little bit, so I'm going to Rapture just in the nick of time to not get myself killed. And then it's back to where we were at. So I'm still using my Seed Pod, and I'm still actually going to Mindbender and Fade. I just like to stay in that rhythm. He will readjust back to the correct rhythm of the 2 casts. So just keep at it. Just be ready, just in case. So here, as you can see, I had to use a Psychic Scream there. I'm a little bit off rhythm, but things will get back to normal. And I'm just making sure that Jormog hits those rocks, and then it's back to Jormog DPS. He always does Sonic Scream pretty shortly after coming up, so don't get yourself caught out with that. And really, it's just rinse and repeat from here. You're going to use your Seed Pod every time those eggs come up, and you're swapping back and forth between Psychic Scream and Mindbender Fade. Just keep your damage reductions as backup in case, for whatever reason, things don't line up correctly. You will see things begin to line up correctly again here. And just look how fast this Seed Pod takes out those eggs. It's really a thing of beauty. Now this is definitely a long game. This is not a quick way of completing this challenge. So I'm actually going to jump forward a bit here to where they start to get a little bit lower. So as you can see here at this point, I've got Tugar to 17. Like I said, you're actually going to need to try not to DPS him at one point because he just sort of gradually dies. And you're going to really want to focus on Jormog. I couldn't really figure out exactly when I wanted to use my drums. I think I eventually used them on a phase where Tugar's getting pretty low and I need Jormog caught up. So you could use them in a situation like that. I wouldn't recommend using them on pull though. Definitely use them to get some damage in on Jormog. Let's even jump a little bit further ahead. So we're just rinse and repeating over and over and over again. So here we are. We got Tugar at 10. We got Jormog at 12. We're getting nice and close. And we're just continuing our strat. So as you can see here, we're up to the 5 eggs in the center. We drop our seed pod. We're going to drop our Mindbender in just a moment when it comes off cooldown. Mindbender fade. And look at those eggs just die. Makes things so easy. And then here, I think when Jormog comes up, we're gonna drums and try and get caught up on the damages. That Mindbender over time does a lot of damage to Tugar. It's down to 8% here. So we're gonna get Jormog down here. We used our drums. We're gonna pump in whatever damage we can. We're getting nice and even. I found that killing Jormog first, I mean, they're going to die at almost exactly the same time. But remember, Tugar is always up, but Jormog is up and down, so I would recommend killing Jormog first. Once Jormog goes down here, I'm going to let him go through one more phase. I'm just trying to be really careful. Like I said, this is not like a super fast DPS strat. It's more of a kind of take your time kind of strategy. So I'm still being careful not to damage Tugar too much. But now it's time to end these guys. So I am gonna start trying to kill them for good here. We're gonna get Jormog down first, so we're really gonna pump everything we got into him. He's gonna go down. I think I just pain suppression myself at the end just to be like super safe. But now he's at 3%. We got to get him down before he does anything too crazy with enrage. So we just fear him, kill him, and there you have it. So that is what I consider to be really easy mode for this challenge. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, things that I missed. Gonna say right now, I'm not a great disc player. I haven't played disc all expansions, so I'm sure my DPS rotation was super wonky, but it just kind of goes to show like this strategy just makes things so easy. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you in the next one.